That's what carbon 60 does. There was they tested carbon 60. You need to be taking this product here. So this is our carbon 60 product, and it comes in a well, and it's an oral supplement.
Is
And
that available in stores?
some stores, some supplement stores, and some doctors and so forth like that carry the product. Or we have it online mostly. We do most of our sales online.
Okay,
So with
can you
carbon 60,
make sure that you show your website to us as well along the way?
oh, okay. Well, I'm not that computer, but I can tell you you go to www.c60, C is in carbon, C60.com.
Okay.
So there you go to C60.com, and you can look at our website there and study it up. There's a lot of
Yeah,
information on it.
yeah, we'll make sure we'll have it on the site before we post it. Yeah.
This is our flagship product.
Okay.
It's a 1 ounce bottle. It lasts for 45 days. It's an oral supplement. You just take it. It's a very black liquid, and carbon is black. And let me show you.
Right.
It's a very black. See how black it is?
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you just put it in your mouth. There's no taste to it,
Okay.
and you're getting over. Gosh, you're getting over 1 trillion carbon 60 molecules. You get enough to, quite a few molecules. These molecules are very small, and they do help with aging quite a bit. And that's what you're talking about. You want a quality of life. That's one of our taglines, is a higher quality of life. They've tested carbon 60 on laboratory rats, and it actually doubled their lifespan. They live 90% longer by taking carbon 60, which
Right.
is the most anything has ever done for any mammal as far as increasing its lifespan and its quality of life.
Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And for all those people around the world that are watching us and saying, okay, we know where Canada is, British Columbia on the West Coast, right? And then there is that big city, Vancouver, right? We are 500 miles north of Vancouver, or for our European friends, 800 kilometers. And that puts us in the center of British Columbia, north, south, east, west, in the center. And it's a community of about 80,000 people, about 120,000 in the region. Lots of forests, lots of nature all around us. Within 50 miles, 100 lakes. And then we have lots of nature around us: black bears, grizzly bears, caribou, deer, wolves, foxes, you name it. We have it all here, living in harmony. Today, we got a very special, interesting guest. His name is Bob Greska, and he is a pioneer in the field of carbon nanotechnology. Even I have some difficulty with the word, but he will tell us all about that. But he has a background in aerospace engineering. It's a journey from engineering to innovation, and that found and led him to find Carbon 60 Inc., where he developed Greska Carbon 60, and we'll tell all about that, and entrepreneurship. But let's start with Bob. Where are you located? What is your background? You studied engineering, I presume, then ended up in aerospace. We like to know something about that. That is very interesting because a lot of new ideas, technology, other things, pushing always the limit in aerospace that brings us to all kinds of different fields, including health and other issues. Bob, talk to us about your past.
Well, I'm in Colorado now, and we're not in the mountains. We're just on the plains of Colorado. So we have a lot of similar animals, except for the grizzly bear. We don't have the grizzlies, which is good. And not too many wolves, although they've introduced them back into Colorado.
This is
So
good.
we're in the nature too. I've got some acreage, so I got some nature around me: deer, fox, raccoons, mountain lions, and so forth. But
Colorado is
I'm
beautiful.
originally from yeah. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I went to school there and grew up and went to college. And I was mentored by the guy who developed fiber optics. So I have a fiber optics background, way from way back before optics was, in the mainstream.
Right.
And so the developer of fiber optics taught me a lot of stuff. And then I studied mechanical engineering in school, and I studied carbon in specifically because I went for material science. So when I studied material science, you study the properties of materials, like how strong it is, what's the melting temperature, what's the thermal conductivity, what's the electrical conductivity. You study the properties of materials, and so I studied carbon most of it.
So
Led me to this field.
what led you to aerospace?
Well, I was always a science kid. I watched the '69, landing on the moon and everything like
Yeah.
that, and I did science experiments all the time, and um, so, but working with my dad was a cabinet maker above a fiberglass shop, which fibers, which is kind of the precursor to carbon fiber.
Right.
And so I went into carbon fiber, graphite epoxy, making spacecraft frames and structures and different things out of carbon fiber, which are very lightweight and strong. So that's what led me into the aerospace. And I worked out in Sunnyvale, California. I worked on a shuttle tiles. I have a shuttle tile here. It's a little dented up here, but this is an actual shuttle tile. Not one of the ones that fell off.
So that is a shuttle tile. Is that
Right.
what it is made of? The shuttle?
Yeah, the bottom of the shuttle. Well, the shuttle is made out of aluminum,
Right.
and then they glue these tiles on with
Right.
silicone.
Okay, and that is to withstand the heat, right? As they re-enter.
Yeah, we're saying that the heat coming in. You can probably see in the background here. Oh, there we go. I got a picture of the shuttle coming in.
I
It's a
see
very
it.
small picture.
Yeah.
But it's when it comes in, it heats up when it hits the atmosphere. So this surface here will get hot. And
That is
depending on the
the
thickness,
okay. So that's the black part that you just turned it around the other way. That is really what is exposed. That side is exposed as
Right.
it enters the Earth's shield. How do you call that?
Yeah,
You
the
come
atmosphere.
the atmosphere, and then the heat transfers through the black to the tile that has carbon issues related to it on your side, the white part, right? Is it?
Yeah. The white part they bond to the aluminum aircraft.
Right,
They use like tennis ball fuzz. It's Nomex.
right.
It's like about a quarter of an inch thick because the aluminum flexes. The plane as it comes
Yeah, yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
and the tile is pretty stiff, so they put a little gap between them. We used to use the computer cards, the old IBM computer cards, the
Right,
cardboard ones, and
right.
about 3 or 4 of those between each tile. That's what we actually used
So to
when we
give
put
it
them on.
flexibility, and
Give it
then
flexibility so when the wings flex, the tiles don't move. They won't hit each other and crack and knock themselves off.
right.
So yeah, this will absorb the heat 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit, 2,300 degrees coming in for 15 minutes, and
20,
in the back face it gets up to about 180 degrees, 200 degrees.
so the whole idea is to how do you bring 2,300 degrees as it enters the atmosphere of Earth to transfer it to the aluminum not exceeding 180 degrees.
Correct. Yeah, this is an insulator. Ceramic's a
Right.
very good insulator. This is like styrofoam.
Boy.
It's similar to styrofoam. It's very light. It's very lightweight. It's made out of fibers. All the fibers kind of cross over each other,
Right.
and when they heat them up, they kind of melt together to form the structure of a low density tile.
So, but it has 15 minutes, you said, that as it enters the atmosphere, 2,300 degrees, it has to, within that, transfer 2,300 degrees to 180. Now,
Right.
there was an incident where tiles fell off or a portion of them did not survive it. And what happened then?
Well,
other
you
than not
maybe
good.
if you lose one tile, you could probably make it back safely. But
Right.
if you lose five tiles, which they did, and they put a pocket there, there was a burn through on reentry, and unfortunately, catastrophic event.
So
Yeah.
how big is a tile?
Oh, one of the tiles. They're all about 8 by 8 inches, or something like that. I
Very
think they're
small, huh? Very
yeah, they're small. 32,000 of these tiles go on the bottom of the shuttle.
so
32,000.
so technical speaking, that how come five of them fell off?
Well, when they take off, they're using liquid oxygen, which is cold, and ice forms around some of the fittings and so forth like that because of the moisture in the air freezes the water. And so the ice fell off and hit some of the tiles.
Okay, that's I
Yeah.
remember that now. And later on they could see it really what happened at what point, and obviously catastrophic. I think there were five people on board or something like that. You know,
Yeah, I forget
very
how many people were on
yeah,
board, but it was
very devastating.
Christy McAuliffe was on board the ski. There was the first civilian going on board. Christy McAuliffe, the school teacher.
School teacher and her whole class was watching, and so that was very devastating for the rest of the world. I watched it, not knowing any details about it as to why, how, but it was devastating because it was not supposed to happen. And
Yeah.
anyway, so that,
Yeah.
but
Well, I'm sorry, that was a different flight. That was on Ascent. There was two shuttles that blew up. One that took off, it blew up. That's the one Christy McAuliffe was on.
right,
The one that was re-entered was a different. That's when the tiles knocked off on the Ascent. They did their mission up in space, and then they came back, and unfortunately did not make it.
right.
Yeah.
So what is interesting about it is for the people watching us that the tiles that go on 8 by 8, are they only on one side of the vessel, the one side that as you enter becomes exposed to the 2300 degrees, or how
Yes.
does, okay, and how many
Yeah, it's
are,
only on one side, the bottom side, and these are the thicker ones that absorb most of the heat.
right,
Now, some of them were only. This is about 4 inches thick. Now, some of them they're only about 2 inches thick. And they have
okay,
different colors on them too. Also, some of them are white. The lower heat zones were white and of lower density ceramic. And see, black absorbs heat and also radiates heat really well.
right.
So that's why they use the black on some and white on the others.
So those the black ones would be in the most exposed area of 2300 degrees. Okay, that's interesting. So you were involved in all of that, and but I've always, I'm not an engineer obviously, but I've always been, as the rest of the world is, that I was born in 1940, and when we saw the moon shot was 69, was it? Or
Mhm.
that is nearly 55 years ago. I still remember that very, very well. And then was the Sputnik, the Russians, and there was a bit of a challenge between the Americans and the Russians as who would have the first landing on the moon. And obviously was that one step for man, one step for nature, something. I still remember watching it as the,
Yep.
yeah. So,
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
and it was,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
I
is.
remember that well. That's great to remember. I love the space program. It's so much fun. I've worked on satellites. I've worked on aircraft engines. Making help design the aircraft engine for the 767 and the Airbus 320. So I've been in the space industry. I've worked on. Star Wars is real too. In space, they shoot lasers across there and try to destroy the other satellite.
Right,
So we made it again out of carbon, a plate as big as a piece of paper, let's say, for testing. And they shoot a laser at it, and the carbon is very conductive. It's 3 times as conductive as copper.
right,
So, and then on the back side of the panel, they put a like a coil, like a refrigeration coil, so they could absorb the laser strike from one side, and on the back side, expel the heat by like a refrigerator cycle. So they could push it, and they run the coil to the other side of the spacecraft and let so that the heat. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
so,
Star Wars was real.
so what is amazing about it to me, as being somebody, as the general public that is observing all of that, absorbing all of that, is that it pushes technology to the maximum at all times. And then there is a lot at stake in terms of, oops, I made a mistake. There is no room for that. It has to be, not in all cases, obviously it hasn't, but in most cases, it is amazing how it can be done and all the things involved pushing technology to the absolute maximum. And now again, looking at another moonshot, and then obviously sending vehicles to Mars and beyond space. It brings with it technology that affects all of us.
Well, yeah, people have time and money to discover something new, and they spend it, and they're doing some research, and they find something out, and then they apply it. Then it trickles down to the public, like Carbon 60 did. You know,
And
it went.
and so in that part, then carbon 60 is where some of the benefits, other than the obvious and the many other things, that also some of the things that are being discovered directly fell affect fitness and health issues that are so much part of all our lives. And so part of that obviously is carbon 60 that we will be talking about in terms of what is it, why is it, and what does it do, and how did you go from being an engineer into, it happens sometimes but usually doesn't, into entrepreneurship. Is a different move away from traditionally what you see with people that specialize in engineering, usually stay in that field, but you moved semi out of that into carbon 60. So tell us about that.
Well, you work in the aerospace industry or for the defense industry. Defense is really offense. Okay, it's a lot of offense. It's more offense than it is defense.
Right.
And you're working on components that hurt people. You know, things of destruction.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'd rather work. I'm a halfway smart guy. Let me go work in a field where I can help people instead of hurt people.
Right.
So that's how I transitioned. I quit the aerospace business. And my parents went nuts. They said, "Oh, what are you doing? You're working for the head of research and development. You got a good job."
Couldn't get a better one than that.
No. You couldn't. Working in a space program on all kinds of projects. And they said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I'd rather do something to help humanity than hurt it." And that's why I quit. And I started. It was bump and go. I tell you what, it was a struggle. Getting started with it. But I've worked on a few projects people would know about, like the Tour de France, the cyclist that won all the races. I initially built an altitude stimulation chamber.
Armstrong.
Yeah, yep. Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
He bought one of our chambers. We didn't see his name on the check, but his name was spoken of.
Yeah.
And that's what initially got him started. And it's basically, it's a fiberglass tube, which you get inside of, and it simulates a high altitude by pulling a partial vacuum. And I've got a picture of one right here. There's a picture of the there we go. And you get inside of that and you pull a partial vacuum. And so it simulates a high altitude. So your body acclimates and gets more blood cells. And so if you have more red blood cells.
So is that like going to space at a certain level, you can float around?
Yeah, not all the way up to space.
Right.
But, partially,
Right.
about 15,000 feet is what we simulate. We simulate about 15,000 feet in altitude.
So
and that gets you more lung capacity and blood cells.
So at that moment, that's what happens. How do you preserve that? Give you more lung capacity for what duration, and blood cells beneficial for what duration, or how often do you have to do that to have really a benefit?
Well, about 3 weeks sleeping in the chamber, or just spending an hour and a half a day. That's when you get a big bump in your EPO that comes out of your kidneys, your erythropoietin. That's what gives you it tells your body to produce more red blood cells because the air is thinner and you want to carry more oxygen. Because the air is thinner, you need more cells to carry less amount of oxygen.
You said
So that's what happened.
EPO is what?
Erythropoietin. That's like a hormone that comes out of your kidneys to signal your body to produce more red.
You said the kidneys produce more red blood cells. What do red blood cells do in my body or in a body?
Well, your kidneys produce more EPO or erythropoietin.
Okay.
And that tells your body to produce more red blood cells.
Right.
So if you have a higher number of red blood cells, the red blood cells carry the oxygen, the food, and the waste product away from your cells. So if you have more of them, you trick your body with the high altitude to produce more red blood cells, and you get 15 to 20% more red blood cells. So it's significant. So when you come down to see, you spend a week or like 3 weeks in there or an hour and a half a day. And when you come down to sea level, that's why you always see Kenya come in first, second, and fourth in all the marathons. Well, they live at 12,000 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they come down to sea level in a race, they can perform better as an athlete. Same thing with the Denver Broncos. We're up at 5,000 feet. And so we're playing somebody at sea level. For instance, living in the Denver area, I go to the beach. I can run on the beach. I won't get winded because I just have a greater capacity to carry more oxygen to my cells. So it's a physical, mechanical advantage.
I never thought about it that way, actually, and I'm sure most other people didn't. So very, very interesting. So that then being said, it probably has even more benefits other than the obvious that you just indicated. We all think about, I wrote a book, and I wrote a number of books actually, but the one that I want to show you, so you know I'm thinking about this, is Living Young, Dying Old. That's a picture of me, actually. I just turned 84 on last Friday. And
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. And so health, and meaning diet for me, and exercise, sleeping well, sunshine for vitamin D. It's all about quality of life. Age is just a number. It then becomes, like I say, that's a picture of me. I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. For me, it's a question of how do I stay fit, healthy, and by not making it overcomplicated, but the obvious is that sunshine, vitamin D, sleep, diet, exercise. And I'm not talking about becoming a bodybuilder and an Olympian, but stay active with your body. And then diet, for me, my wife is a vegetarian, I'm a vegan. And if I go to a grocery store, I always do all the shopping on the outside. I do most of the shopping. And because on the center aisles is processed food, I don't know what is in it. So those are all the obvious things for me. And I'm still fit, I'm very active, but we're always looking at ways, what else can we do for longevity and quality of life? Because it's all about, at the end of the day, the quality of life, not age, but quality of life that counts. And a lot of people that are in the last decade of their life are not very healthy, eating a whole lot of toxic, really, or chemicals that they don't know what it will do to their body. So we're always looking for how can we increase quality of life and live longer if you wish, but more importantly, quality of life. So how do you connect carbon 60 to that objective?
Well, exactly. That's what carbon 60 does. There was they tested carbon 60. You need to be taking this product here. So this is our carbon 60 product, and it comes in a well, and it's an oral supplement.
Is
And
that available in stores?
some stores, some supplement stores, and some doctors and so forth like that carry the product. Or we have it online mostly. We do most of our sales online.
Okay,
So,
can you
carbon 60.
make sure that you show your website to us as well along the way?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not that computer, but I can tell you you go to www.c60, C as in carbon, C60.com.
Okay.
So there you go to C60.com, and you can look at our website there and study it up. There's a lot of information on it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we'll have it on the site before we post it. Will be posted likely later today. We turn our podcast around very, very quickly, within 24 hours.
Okay.
And if it is in the morning, like this one is, then by tonight we'll have it posted. Okay, so
Well, we got two websites,
Okay.
C60.com and C-60.com.
okay,
So we got the URL without the dash because it's easier to get to.
okay, we'll make sure that both of them are shown. So show us your bottle once more that you had there, and so
This is our flagship product. It's a 1 ounce bottle. It lasts for 45 days. It's an oral supplement. You just take it. It's a very black liquid, and carbon is black. And let me show you.
right.
It's a very, very black. See how black it is?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just put it in your mouth. There's no taste to it.
Okay.
And you're getting over, you're getting over 1 trillion carbon 60 molecules. You get enough to, quite a few molecules. These molecules are very, very small, and they do help with aging quite a bit. And that's what you're talking about. You want a quality of life. That's one of our taglines, is a higher quality of life. They've tested carbon 60 on laboratory rats, and it actually doubled their lifespan. They live 90% longer by taking carbon 60, which
Right.
is the most anything has ever done for any mammal as far as increasing its lifespan and its quality of life.
And have you tested it on people, which obviously you have, but in terms of effects and if they see a difference, or is it just you take 1 drop a day, and correct me if I'm wrong, and then in time it will then get into your system and then increase, and what did you call it? PB? No, I forget now what you call it. Send the signal to the kidneys to produce more red blood cells. Is it all connected to all of that? And
No, the carbon 60 does not produce more red blood cells. That's the altitude simulation chamber.
okay,
The carbon 60, okay, everybody's heard about free radicals.
right,
That's a molecule that's missing an electron. And if it's
Okay.
missing an electron, that molecule in your body, if you get too many of them too close together in your liver, let's say, your liver does not function properly because you get too many molecules that are missing an electron. They don't know what to do anymore. And so it's the carbon this is the big breakthrough here. The carbon 60 molecule discovered in 1985. Okay,
And-
so it's relatively new to discovery.
right,
I discovered how to produce it clean without any toxics or solvents or anything else, and very small in size. That's my claim to fame.
right.
But being spherical in nature, it could lose an electron or donate an electron without collapsing. And that's the big breakthrough. It's like an antioxidant you find in red wine and berries, but those things compared to this, they're huge.
So what you're showing us really is it's very minor, but you blew it up, showing the bigger
Right.
what it really
Yeah,
show.
These are atoms here. These are so small that these represent atoms.
Right,
So there's 60 atoms in a spherical shape.
Right.
It was named after Buckminster Fuller, the architect that made the geodesic dome for the 1964, I think it was, Olympics in Montreal, Canada. Remember the half dome bubble?
yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
That's why it was named
You
after
still have it.
bucket models or fullerenes. Yeah, and
So,
that's a fullerene too. That's another one. Nanotubes. They're this kind of a shape. They're tubular shape. And they're
right.
using those too as far as medical applications also.
And so the bottle that you showed us, from a cost perspective, people will be wondering what does it cost? And if you buy a
Well,
bottle,
well, we have a bottle on our website. They're $76. It lasts for 45 days,
right,
and we get free shipping. So,
right,
45 days, about $50 a month to you.
yeah,
Now, there's other people that sell carbon 60 products out there, but they use the industrial grade. The particles are very, very large, 200,000 times larger than ours. And we got microscopic proof of that, and they have trace amounts of toxicity. We don't have any of that. We got very small, very toxic. And our price is much more competitive, very much so. People sell it for 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much as we do per daily serving. And you got to take two teaspoons because it's very diluted. Ours is super concentrated because our particles are so small.
and so, and if you do that and you stay on it, you will see results. And what are the results then? I understand what you were said about red blood cells and being in a cubicle that simulates, and the airless area. So that
Yeah.
is one separate from this. But this
Right.
one, then, where would you classify this one, and saying that should be something that you do automatically every day when you get up, is say, oh, dip, so that kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And
I guarantee you take this every day, especially if you're a senior, because your free radical removal system is depleted. And with the advent of all the toxins coming into our body from the air, food, and water, we can't stay away from them. Carbon 60s, carbon's a natural detoxifier. That's why you have a carbon filter, water filter on your water source coming in, because carbon will collect the toxins. And same thing, the carbon will actually these will actually not collect the toxins; they'll actually neutralize the toxin by giving
right.
the toxin an electron.
So, do you then in your company have have a patent on this? Or how
No,
does
we have
that
a
work?
trade secret. Yeah, we
Okay.
have a trade secret because I'm the only one in the world that can produce clean carbon 60.
Right.
There's many other people since I started, there's probably 50 or 100 other companies that have jumped on the bandwagon, copied my website, they copycatted me,
Yeah.
so forth. Many people have done that, but they still use the industrial grade carbon 60 that's produced with solvents. They start with that and they clean it up through sublimation, or they clean it up through um, a solvent extraction process. But still, they've got solvents in all of them. So we don't use any solvents anywhere. And to produce it, and the main thing is the bioavailability. The smallness of size of these molecules are huge because they can float around your body, and they're attracted by the electron forces of molecules that are missing an electron, which are positively charged, and the negative available electrons from the carbon 60 molecules that we produce. So they kind of attract each other, and
So,
they'll seek out the problem area in your body.
so what I see here, Bob, is that you used your engineering background, then your exposure to aero, aero technology, especially the space program, and all the areas of where they pursue the outer lines of it that create new direction, technology, and a number of other things. You applied it to medicine to a certain extent, or well-being, or longevity, if you wish, or supplements that are, because there are so many supplements out there that for a lot of people, including me, we are very, very careful of it because, you go into a store and saying, "My God, what do you buy? What will it do for me?" And obviously, a lot of that is not being regulated by anybody or government in any form. So it's delicate to say the least for the novel, for somebody that does not know, including me. But it makes a lot of sense to me. But so give us more examples of how long has it been? How long have you had this in the marketplace? And is it, obviously virtual selling has become so much of a new direction to go, and we have examples of that all over the world already. And then podcasting is helping you, not only you, but your company and other companies, to have unique products to get a lot of exposure globally. Like for us, we are well over 600,000, approaching close to 1 million actually, on subscribers on YouTube, and millions of people, that are watching our podcast globally. So you get a lot of exposure. And is that the new direction we should go, with products that are unique and different? And
Well, I agree with you. Look, and I'm going to say one thing about the supplement industry is not, it is regulated by the FDA. We have certain guidelines we have to follow in labeling and bottling and cleanliness, and certify a facility that is clean and so forth. So we do have, but we're not approved by the FDA like drugs are. They have to go through clinical trials.
right,
But if it's called generally GRAS, GRAS, generally regarded as safe. Okay. So if you have carbon activated charcoal, which is carbon, people have been taking it for years. So you smallify the particle size,
right,
it's still safe.
right.
Okay. So yeah, but yeah, we're advertising on the internet, on social media is the way to go. It reaches a lot more people. It's easier. They can watch the video at their leisure instead of an advertisement that comes on the television. We've been on television before. We've got a lot of videos on our media section on our website. You can look at all of our videos, and they explain. And they're relatively short videos, so you don't have to sit there and watch an hour show.
Right.
So yeah, so it's really really good way to go.
So from your exposure now, both in technology, obviously from your background, and then your exposure to the NASA and those organizations, where are we going looking forward? And carbon, again, is part of that, likely. Where are we going? But we find, let me put it this way, and you probably have the same experience to a certain extent, is that if I look at the medical system and quality of life being so critically important, is that it becomes more and more things are being done, or products are developed that will improve quality of life and longevity, but still on the base of it is, correct me if I'm wrong, at least in my mind, and I'm not a doc or a medical guy, I simply say, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't use drugs, and I stay away from chemicals that fix a problem, small problems. I try not to do that, same as my wife. Then be very careful about our diet, mainly plant-based, especially organic, and then be very careful about that. And then obviously in my case, I stay fit and I get exercise. And then, as I said before, sunshine, sleep, diet, health, fitness physically, and then look at selectively on supplements that will benefit us, and get as much information as we can, or I can, to make sure I'm not buying a whole lot of stuff that is really well marketed, but really doesn't do anything for you other than, make some people very rich on the idea, but not do anything more. So it is very, very delicate. So far, so good. At 84 years young, obviously I'm doing something right, but I'm always looking for what else is happening. And especially what I like about your process is that you have a very solid base, obviously had exposure to, engineering, NASA, the space program, and then you are entrepreneurial as well. So tell us about your entrepreneurial challenges and ideas, because coming from your background to become an entrepreneur and become successful is a little bit out of the ordinary, but obviously you've done something right.
Well, I've been an inventor, as I've shown you a few things. Now I got a few more things, but and you want a product that works to make it go. And so I developed a process to produce clean carbon-60 in 2012, and I was in a laboratory working, making it. It's a very small molecule, so it's very hard to contain. So I filled up the room with this black dust, and I was breathing it in, and I breathed in quite a bit of it, probably 100 bottles of this worth. And so I didn't have any negative effects, but excuse me, I did have, my stools were black for 3 days because, all the carbon going through my body. But I didn't have any negative effects. That's the only negative effect that I had, was having black stools.
But
But everything else felt like
wouldn't that alarm you in saying, when you say that,
it
when
did.
we say it's likely
It did.
blood or whatever it is, it's not good.
Yeah, that's right. No, I was tested. I had an appointment on day number 2 to check for the blood, and so there was no blood in my stools, because that's what causes your black stools also.
So what did they
But I
say?
was
No, Bob, it's carbon. Is that, no, they didn't say that. They didn't know what it was.
They didn't know.
No.
No, nobody's been. But it scared me because I didn't know. 'Cause, I'm experimenting in the laboratory. I'm a research scientist, but I felt a very cleansing effect on my body. That's only my. And then I found out. I said, "Oh boy!" I went home that evening and I started reading about carbon-60. Were there any dangers to it? Did I toxify myself? And then I found that was going to be a very healing molecule. And there were 2 companies selling carbon-60 as a supplement, one in California, one in Czechoslovakia. They were selling the industrial grade carbon-60 as a supplement. I said, gosh, I don't have any toxicity, and I've got a very small particle size. So I got into the supplement business. I started bottling it, giving it since I knew it was not toxic, because I exposed myself to it, I gave it to friends and family and saw the results. And I put all my chips in one pile with carbon-60 back in 2014 in March.
You became the guinea pig. And
Yeah.
so tell me about the company in California, not necessarily the name, and the one in Central Europe. Were they making carbon-60 as you have it now, or did they have the diluted part of it, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, theirs is the particles are very large. They're actually 200,000 times larger. So they have one particle in the same volume. We have 200,000. So
Right.
the bioavailability, and that's all the other carbon-60s in the world. They have a very large cluster of molecules stuck together.
Right.
And ours are very small and separate, and they float through the body. And that's a big advantage. That's the big breakthrough with our product, is they're much more bioavailable.
Why are the other ones not doing the same?
Because they haven't figured out the process that I have. That's why we haven't patented it. We keep it a trade secret.
Right.
And that's real important. People if you patent something, you tell the world how you do it. And then you got somebody over in, I say China, that copies and steals your patent. Now they're producing it. You go through a lot of legal system and everything to sue them to get your money back from what you did. If you keep it a trade secret, they don't know. And the process that I developed is very convoluted, and I don't think they could figure it out.
No.
It took me about 3 months to produce about a thimble full of carbon-60. So
Yeah.
a very small amount.
Right.
Okay. And then from that point, it took me 3 years to scale that up
Yeah.
to an appreciable amount that we can actually make a product. And then we prompted the internet by putting out blogs and so forth. And then Influencer talked about it on August 26th, 2017, and boom, we 6 years of getting things started, getting a perseverance. If you don't have perseverance as an entrepreneur, forget it, because you got to keep going. And I saw the light at the end of the tunnel because I could see what it did for friends and family. That I said, here's a bottle. Oh, go try it. See what it does for you. And I did that, and muscle pain went away, joint pain went away. We have a water-based product, carbon 60 in water, also, which is a spray. Now this spray is a mist, and you just spray it on your skin, over muscles, over joints, and it usually works fairly quickly. Most of the time, like every time, it works fairly quickly, and it penetrates through the skin and it reaches an organ in 5 minutes. We have documented proof of that. The molecules are so small; they're incredibly tiny. They go through everything. It's like trying to contain hydrogen. You can't. Molecules are so small because it's only it goes through everything in your body and seeks out like a magnet problematic area and resolves a problem. It fixes the issue. It's not permanent, but it will fix the issue because you still got this influx of toxins from the air, food, and water coming in your body.
So it kind of sounds like me, like KFC, the Colonel, in his chicken, is that
Yeah.
it's a secret and very successful globally. Well, at least in North America, but it's not compared to yours. But but I'm saying the trade secret is, how do you protect it? Because
Well, you're protected by you don't tell anybody how you do it. You don't show anybody how you do it. You keep it in a tight knit group of a couple people that know how to produce the product. You keep it a secret.
that's the key, right? So because you have to
Yep.
keep it in that, because so easily it goes out to, because a lot of people are interested in it, obviously, especially if you see the results of it. How can you, in the longer term, protect it so that it will remain to be a unique product to you and your estate, if you wish, and as you go forward, or if at some point you decide to market it or whatever happens, right?
Yeah, well, you just keep it a trade secret. You don't tell anybody how you produce it. That's the way to protect yourself.
Right.
Um, and if you don't tell anybody, they're not going to know. And I very much doubt they will figure it out because it's a very convoluted process
Right.
to do it, and nobody would think of doing it this way.
Yeah.
And because they do some research. When I decided, I was at a friend's house. He's another inventor, and we decided we needed some carbon 60 for some experiments. And I go, working in carbon for over 4 decades, I go, wait a minute, I think I know how to make that. And I went to my laboratory. 3 weeks later, I made a small amount of it, like a period at the end of a sentence, a speck of it. And then I kept making it like the size of a head, a common pin, then a BB size, then a pea size, then a thimbleful. When we had enough, a thimbleful, we had enough to test and play around with.
Amazing.
But I didn't look at how other people made carbon 60. I didn't go down there a rabbit hole because once you go down there, you get lost. You're
Yeah.
not going to get out.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even look how somebody else produced carbon 60. I just went into a cold. I said, I think I know how to do it. And that's what being an inventor is. You just don't follow anybody else. You do what you think is right.
So you started this in, if I remember correctly, 2012. At what point did you go commercial with it?
Well, we started about 2004, at the end of 2013, going door to door.
Right.
I went door to door to chiropractors and homeopathic doctors and natural doctors and giving them a bottle, say, try it. And they'd come back and say, oh, gosh, I want you to sell me 6 of those bottles. I got some clients that could use them and they'd have good results. So we built the business that way. And then an influencer spoke about it in 2017. And that's what really got it out there, like a podcast.
Right. Right.
You got it out there.
So it's still really relatively young as a product in the marketplace. And obviously you're exposing it globally. At least you do, or you do already, and you do now, because we're being watched globally. And so I see much more upside for you, especially if it is recognized by professionals and physicians and others, and saying, this is unique. in the sense that, so give me an example of where it would work in particular well of the average individual that have maybe issues. You don't have to have issues. It simply improves, even if you are healthy, it improves who you are and quality of life. Is that a...
Well, no.
Okay.
If you're healthy, generally speaking, if somebody says, I've taken your product and I don't see any results, we have that rare occasion because
Wow.
I stopped them and I said, let me tell you about yourself. You take a good regimen of supplements, you work out, you eat organic, and there's nothing wrong with you. And they'll go, yeah, that's me. I'm healthy. I said, well, you don't have any free radicals in your body your natural free radical removal system is working. But most of the people, 95, 98%, are not healthy because they are exposed to toxins. They have problematic areas in their body. And it doesn't matter where it is because the root cause of most every health issue are these molecules missing electrons, the free radicals. And you ask any doctors, we got doctors backing us now. They buy the product and they sell it in their office or they give it to their clients or whatever they do. We have a wholesale program. We set them up. They buy it wholesale pricing and in quantity, and then we sell it to them. So if there's entrepreneurs out there that want to get started in the business, we have a program for that. So same thing with other marketers or other podcasters or other, what do you call them, social media.
Right.
We have programs for that to get it out there. But the best part I like is meeting somebody, talking to them. I met somebody the other day. He had peripheral nerve pain down his leg. And he said, I'm at a pain level 8. It's killing me. I says, I ordered your product online. I want to drive out there. I want to see you, meet with you. So we met. We met at a restaurant. And I said, here, take the topical mist product. Go in the bathroom, drop your pants, spray it on your leg. And he came out a couple minutes later, sat down. About 2 or 3 minutes later, he said, gosh, I can feel it working down my leg. And about 20 minutes later, he said, my pain level went from a level 8 down to a 1.5. I mean, in muscle pain, joint pain, anything, they're all caused by the same free radicals, molecules missing electron. You give them electron, bingo, it corrects itself right away. Sometimes it works very quick, like within 20 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Now, I've seen that all the time, especially the topical mist, the water-based product. It's faster reacting. It penetrates the skin. The oil, you put it in your mouth, it goes systemic throughout your whole body. It takes a little bit longer. 3 or 4 days, 90% of the people, 95% of the people report they have more energy. In about 8 to 10 days, they report they have clarity of mind. They can think better. And even I've had people with gray hair going back to normal color. Not a lot of them, but I've had several people that their gray hair went back to normal color. One of our slogans is 70 is the new 50 with carbon 60. That's one of our slogans because I had so many people that were around 70 years old telling me they felt 20 years younger. So we came up with the phrase 70 is the new 50 with carbon 60.
80 is the new 60.
Yep.
This one.
Living young, dying old. Well, this is what this does. It helps you. As far as anti-aging goes, it is an anti-aging product. It does improve the quality of your life. I guarantee. I got testimonies, thousands of testimonies from people. If anybody wants to call up and talk, I can tell them testimonies. They should look at the website.
I'm going to send you a copy. I'm going to sign it for you. I'm going to send you a copy of this book. And if you can, go through it, see what you think about it. It's very popular, actually. Scott will make sure that he gets your address. And then, if you can, I want to get a bottle of each of the bottles that you have, the spray one and the other one.
Yeah, we got 3 bottles here. We have the oral supplement. We have the face serum. We have the topical mist that you spray on, and then we have the face serum that helps with age spots and wrinkles and blemishes and the UV damage from the sun. That leathery feeling of your skin from the sun, from the UV, that goes away fairly quickly in a couple days.
Okay, so I'm going to send this. Can you send me this 3?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, I'll send you the 3.
Scott will get you the other one. And then the other, and before we close, the other part that I was going to say is that, correct me if I'm wrong, the quality of life and well-being and fitness always has been in transition, but people are starting to become much more aware of the importance of fitness, health, and understanding how does the body work. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, with your exposure, is that your body is extremely forgiving and wants to be healthy, but you have to make sure that you stay with things that allow them to do that. If you abuse it, and part of it, respectfully, is that I see too many people that take hands full of medicine to fix a problem, a toxic in a lot of cases, that may fix one problem but create problems in other areas. I think we are moving towards the obvious, healthy living, get lots of sunshine, get lots of, diet, healthy diet, fitness, lots of sleep. All of those things are given. The obvious abuse are obvious as well. Once you do all of that, then more and more we see exposure to people like yourself and others that have taken a whole different approach to understanding the body, how it functions, and what you can do to help your case in particular, whoever that may be watching us, become more informed. And your website is there. You will have little videos and all the other things. And so very, very interesting, Bob. Anything in closing before we let you go?
I want to say 200 years ago, we didn't have the toxins in the air, food, and water. Our body could keep up with the free radicals removal. Toxins cause free radicals. So your body could keep up with it. Now with the air, food, and water, most of your water's got contaminants in it. They got mercury, you got all kinds of stuff in your water. So your body, it's grown too fast, faster than our body could adapt. So that's why the carbon-60 really helps with those toxins, giving electrons back to those free radicals, which are the root cause of most every health issue there are, except for broken bones, mechanical defects. Free radicals cause everything. Ask any doctor, they'll tell you the same story. And now I told doctors about this, and they said, "Oh my gosh, this is in the beginning." And one doctor said, "You've got the whole Holy Grail." And so far, I think it's the carbon-60 molecule is a huge advancement in health span of people.
Yeah, and that's the direction we want to go in, is become informed, and then especially look at a different approach to solving problems rather than look at the whole body as a whole.
Good. Yeah, I'd agree.
Bob, amazing podcast, amazing story. I look forward to seeing the products. Obviously, this podcast will be released later on today. We'll be seen around the world. We'll make sure it has your information on it. And for all those people that are watching our podcast and like what we are doing on the Brink on our podcasting, is subscribe to our podcast, share it with others, and like it and make comments on it. And it will help us to find other individuals as interesting as Bob Greska is and his products in carbon-60 and his interesting background. Bob, it was a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you very much for being a guest on my podcast.
Likewise, John, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be on your show. Thank you very much. And we'll send out some bottles to you, and we'll transfer emails after the show.
Excellent.
Addresses.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Take care.
Very good. Thank you.